Hey everybody, this is Jeff.
And I'm Karen.
And I know it's been a while, but we are back. We're coming at you from the Keweenaw Peninsula in Michigan's UP. Looking to have some fun in this next week, so we hope you watch along and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, how you doing? We are finishing up a week up here in the Keweenaw Peninsula, in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We are at Wilderness Resort in Lac La Belle, Michigan. And for those of you who don't know a whole lot about the Keweenaw Peninsula, if you take a look at the map of the UP, it almost looks like a shark that's facing to the left. The fin of that shark would be the peninsula. It is the most northern point in Michigan, and it's got quite an interesting history. Back in the day, it was huge for copper mines. At one point, I think on one of the tours we heard, they were producing 85% of the copper in the world. And that is reflected in a lot of the things that you can do and see in this area. Karen, why don't you tell everyone what's going on up here?
Yeah, so in terms of the historical activities and attractions, there is a really neat part of the National Park Service. It's called the Keweenaw National Historic Park. It's actually a group of kind of independently owned historical sites that have bonded together to make this historical group. Really cool. So there's historic museums, lighthouses, and of course the mines. So really cool. Many of the sites are free, and some are very reasonably priced. So that is a really nice part. If you're an outdoor enthusiast, lots of stuff to do up here in the outdoors. Huge mountain biking area. If you get up towards Copper Harbor, some of the best mountain biking trails in the state of Michigan are up there. If you're an ATV person, all kinds of trails. There's scenic drives. There is a lot of beaches right here on Lake Superior, so beaches for rock hounding. Waterfalls, all kinds of rivers and waterfalls. In terms of other water sports, there's boating and kayaking. Again, Copper Harbor seems to be the kind of outdoor activity hub of the area. There is a rental company up there where you can rent different things, bikes and kayaks, so that's really cool. There's also lighthouses. You can go and see some lighthouses here. And then there's hiking. You know, just about everywhere we go, we really enjoy hiking, so lots of different trails. If you're a winter person, snowmobiling, of course, and then skiing. There is a mountain just right on the other side of where we're staying called Mount Bohemia that has some of the best Michigan skiing as well.
One thing that we found out the hard way when we got up here, and you're going to do these activities, there are a lot of places up here that don't accept credit cards. It's cash or, believe it or not, personal check. Who writes personal checks these days? So we ended up making too many trips to the ATM while we were up here, but it was entirely worth it, and we got to do a ton of things while we were up here. The supermoon took place while we were up here. Bettigree is 2 miles down the road from here, and it's a beach right along Lake Superior that faces east, and we were able to go out there and watch the moon rise over Lake Superior. I'm a history buff, and with all the Copper County stuff up here, we did a lot of that. We went on 2 underground mine tours, which I was lucky enough to get video on. I will give you a heads up. At the Quincy mine, they don't allow you to take video while you're underground. However, it's amazing what you can do when the tour guide either doesn't notice or doesn't care. So we got some really good excuse me, footage of that. We also visited Fort Wilkins, which is part of the Michigan State park program.
DNR.
It is a not like a recreation. They restored an old army base
and rebuilt
from the 1870s that was built to kind of protect the workers who were working in the copper mines.
Remain order, keep order with the copper miners.
Turns out it wasn't open that long because the copper miners were actually not bad people. They didn't have the issues that they thought they were going to have. One of the coolest things we did, and it's a little bit of a drive here, but I guess it's still considered the peninsula. We went down to Porcupine Wilderness Mountain State Park, which is down near, hopefully I get this correct, Ontonagon. No.
It's
Ontonagon.
Ontonagon,
that's it. They call them mountains. I think the highest peak there was 1,900 feet.
Yeah, it was like 2,000 feet.
If you've been to the Rockies before, you're probably laughing at that. But it's a really cool experience. They have Lake in the Clouds there, which we went to.
It felt more like a national park than a state park. Very beautiful. Skiing there also in the winter. Tons of hiking, waterfalls, backcountry camping if you're into backcountry or boondocking. And they have one campground there that's got 100 modern sites by Michigan DNR standards, which is your electric only. But water available. So that was really nice. But just a beautiful, beautiful park.
Lots of really cool waterfalls, which we got video of that as well.
Yep.
And then also here on the peninsula is the town of Houghton, which is kind of the gateway to the rest of the peninsula.
It is. It's on a ship canal.
So you have to drive through it. We took a little bit of video there and actually found the City of Houghton RV Park, which is right along the Portage Canal. Obviously we didn't stay there, but we were able to walk through it with no problem, and I took some video there so you can see what kind of sites they have in case the more rural, rustic, where we stayed at, is exactly not what you're looking for.
Another neat thing that I didn't mention before, there is a certified dark sky park here on the peninsula, the Keweenaw Dark Sky Park. It is on the grounds of the Keweenaw Mountain Lodge, which is awesome too if you're not a camper and you want to stay indoors. It's a historic lodge with cabins that you can rent, which looks really cool. They're all on the historic register, right? You read that?
Yes.
But there's a dark sky park, so it's certified dark sky, and they have different viewing areas that you can go to. And actually, anywhere up here, you probably, once you get out of the trees, you're going to see a ton of stars. We didn't stay up too late most nights, except for the night we went to the supermoon. And it was a full moon, or a new moon, or no, full moon when we were here, so it wasn't like we had really dark skies to really see too much, but it's a great place for stargazing too. And
the nice part about that dark sky park is the viewing areas are actually on the golf course. So you can get out into the fairways and really get unobstructed views. If you're into photography, you can probably get some really good views of the tree line along with the Milky Way and everything. They do ask that you stay off of the greens, and if you're anything like me, you won't have a problem with that. So definitely something where if we were to come back here, that's
we'll
high up on the list.
Yeah, and there is a chance, being this high up, to see the northern lights. Of course, we didn't have that this time, but
yeah, depending on the time of year. And the cool thing is, at the Dark Sky Park, they had a poster up there of when the full moons were going to be, and they also have another poster, and it's on their website, showing the best times of the year to see the northern lights. So if that's something you're into, that's something you can do up here as well.
In terms of food up here, the kind of local specialties are pasties, which is a kind of handheld pot pie, basically. They came from the Cornish miners that originally came to the region for the mines. We are kind of huge pasty fans, so we ordered them frozen from all over the UP. throughout the year, but this is a great place to get those. Another unique delicacy up here is called thimbleberry jam. They use wild thimbleberries in jams and in baked goods, so that's very popular. In fact, there's a place in Eagle River, in Eagle River called the Jam Lady. The family has been here for centuries, and they make homemade jams from wild berries. And you literally, it's 24 hours. It's all on the honor system. You go in there, there's a coffee can, you put your cash in it. It's like unbelievable to me. But there's a lot of places that are like that around here where, you know, they trust people, and, you know, cash is king, and, you know, and that's how they cater to the tourists. Weather up here, I think, was great. Like, we didn't have to run the air conditioning or heat at all in the camper. During the day, we kind of layered up, so, you know, we might have had a long sleeve shirt on in the morning, but by the afternoon we were probably, you know, just having our t-shirts on. Bugs were not too bad. One thing that we do recommend that we found is really great are these thermocells. These things are awesome. They're run by a little butane canister in the bottom, and, you know, we're up here in the middle kind of nowhere, and those kept the mosquitoes away. I do have to say, the night that we did go to see the super moon, you do realize how many mosquitoes are out there. I was sitting on the beach to start out and just got swarmed. So the mosquitoes are real here, so do be prepared for that. Flies are kind of bad during certain times of the year. We experienced that when we were up at Pictured Rocks as well, but they were not too bad this time, I'd say. And then the other thing to keep in mind too is, because of being a peninsula and being kind of in the middle of Lake Superior, you're going to get different wind, different directions of wind. So depending on how that wind and the temperature of the air and the water are coming off of the lake, you're going to get fog, which is actually kind of cool in many cases. But if you want to get a view of Lake Superior or of the mountains, that could obstruct your view at different of the day, especially in the early morning, and when it's really cool. When those winds come off of Lake Superior, you're going to get a lot of fog in the hills.
Anything else?
I just want to talk about a couple of my favorite things when I was up here that we experienced. We kind of already mentioned Fort Wilkins, the state park up in Copper Harbor. That was awesome. Kind of something that wasn't even really on our radar that we really enjoyed for the day. Of course, the mine tours. We did Quincy in Delaware. I think Jeff mentioned that. That was really cool. Lac La Belle. So where we're staying at Wilderness Resort here, it's a very small campground. They have 4 sites that are full hookup, but I'm a person that likes to get off the beaten path. I'm not a big campground person. I don't want to be at the Jellystone with, you know, hundreds of people. This place is perfect. It's really quiet. We noticed that a lot of people don't stay very long. They're here for 2 or 3 nights and then they're moving on to the next. We actually are, I think, the only people that really stayed here the whole week. But it was fantastic. The hosts were great. It has a little store with a few necessities. They have a really nice bathhouse and bathrooms. But yeah, all the sites are pretty much wooded. They have a dump station for the sites that aren't full hookup, but really off the beaten path. We are almost all the way up to Copper Harbor, so it is a bit of a trek from Houghton, so that's something to keep in mind, as well as, you know, real grocery stores. They do have things that are called like superettes and general stores along the way that have, you know, necessities, but if you need to do a big grocery shopping, I definitely would do that before you get up here. But the other nice thing is that we're on Lac La Belle Lake, which was lovely. There's a lot of boaters, a lot of ATV people stay here, so that was great. And at Lac La Belle, there's a place called the Bear Belly Pit Stop at Lac La Belle Lodge, and that was actually kind of a little hidden gem. We went there the first day we were there. We're like, all right, it's a little convenience store if we need something. But we had lunch there today. They have a great menu. You're able to get a pasty there, able to get a burger. That was fun. So I highly recommend the Bear Belly Pit Stop, Pit Stop, and the Lac La Belle Lodge store. I think those were my favorite things. And of course the Porkies, the Porcupine Mountains, they call them the Porkies. That was really kind of, I was expecting it to be really nice, but I think it was great.
All right, so next up we'll show you some video that we shot. Mine tours, Porcupine Mountains, Fort Wilkins, a little bit of Houghton, and then when we get back from those videos, we will go ahead and do a walkthrough and a review of the campground here. So stay tuned. right, so when you arrive, here's the office. That's where you'll check in. The rear of the office here, they have 2 restrooms and a shower. They are quite nice. You have a place for your trash, and then you've also got a table for cleaning fish. If you're a fisherman, you can do that here. Then we have a dump station. There are 15 sites here. Only 4 of them are full hookups, so that would be somewhat important. And then as you come down here, you can see the sites. They're very nice sites, not too much tree coverage. The site that we had, which you'll see in a minute, had plenty of tree coverage for shade. All of these sites on the outside of the loop are electric only, and there were a number of different types of campers here. We had everything from tent campers, another guy who had one of those hammock tents that he hung up in the tree and slept in that, along with travel trailers, Class A's and Class C's. You're not going to believe this, but the walk is halfway over already. They do have some sites that can be used as pull-throughs, but most of them are going to be back-ends. They come standard with a fire ring and a power pole on site, along with picnic table. Over there in the distance, they do have cabins here. We don't know too much about that, so we're not going to speak to it, but if you have a family member who would like to come up with you and they don't own a camper, that would be a good spot for them to stay.
These are the full hookup sites. So 5 full hookup, 3,
1, and then 15 over on the other side. And then here's our site. As you can see, it's a good size. Enough trees to provide good shade during the day. And enough room for us just to hang around and do whatever we need to do. All right, so that was our walk through the campground. As you can see, it is not a very big campground, but in this case, that's not a bad thing. So we've come up with a way to kind of rate campgrounds that we stay at. This is the first time we're doing it. It may change in the future, but we'll see how this works out. We're calling it the Big Score, and it's based off of 5 criteria that we're going to score 1 through 5, and then at the end we add them all up, and top score is 25, obviously. So we're going to start with location, and for location we scored it a 4.5.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason is that, like I mentioned before, I like being out away from people. It's kind of the reason I camp. I like being in nature. I don't like being on top of my neighbor. So I think that in terms of where this is located, if it checks all those boxes, the only challenge is that it is so far away from things that daily activities. So if you're going to go to Copper Harbor, if you want to go back down to Houghton, you're talking about a 45-minute drive down to Houghton, about a 30-minute drive up to Copper Harbor. It is a drive, and since we are pretty remote on the Keweenaw, getting to a store for groceries or any necessities you have is going to be a drive, so you really do need to plan.
I agree. I would have given it a 5, except for the fact that it takes 45 minutes to get to Walmart, which is your best choice for a grocery store up here, to be honest.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind too, groceries are, you think they're expensive at home, they're more expensive up here just because it takes time to get stuff up here. So in addition to keeping cash with you, things are going to cost more.
Our next criteria is the site itself, and for that we gave it a 5.
Yeah, I think it was a good size. It could fit a bigger rig than our 26-footer. fire pit was great. We have trees around us. We probably have one of the shadier sites, and definitely the shadiest full hookup site. So full hookup was huge. If we needed to, we are right within walking distance of the bathroom and shower house, which we could have taken advantage of. So we are on a road on our one side, but hardly anybody comes on this road. So that really didn't really take away from anything.
Our next criteria are amenities, and for this campground, we gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, again, full hookups was big. We prefer full hookups if we're staying anywhere more than 2, 3, maybe 4 nights max. Since we were here for 9 nights, we really wanted full hookups, so that was the biggest thing. If we needed the shower house or whatever reason we wanted to use that, we did have that. Flush toilets. The store, I think, was big.
They also had the best Wi-Fi I've ever seen at a campground. And that's somewhat important here because we are actually in the one area of the peninsula that gets no cell phone service. You go a quarter mile down the road and you got all the cell phone service you can get. So having that Wi-Fi was important. It's not the type of Wi-Fi where you're going to be streaming, but if you wanted to check your Instagram, your Facebook, your email, things like that, the Wi-Fi worked out great.
Perfect. Yeah, it was great. It was a little bit slower when the campground was full and the cabins were full, but it was better than other places that we've been that, have more sites.
And it's also important to note when we talk about amenities, we don't need a place that has a pool.
Yeah, pool or kids' activities
or a mini
renting
golf
stuff
course
or
or anything like that. They're nice when you're staying at a campground like that, but that's not something that we
don't
consider. So
Mm-mm.
keep that in mind when taking that score into consideration.
Yeah. Also, no cable if you needed cable or wanted cable hookup. They don't offer that here either.
No, and there's also no TV. So.
Oh yeah, no TV service. So yeah, we're not getting any channels. Now we did get radio. They have a great radio station here. What was it, 97.7?
Yeah.
Kind of played
The Wolf.
70s, 80s, most 70s and 80s. It was great.
It was like, if you have satellite radio, it was a combination of yacht rock and classic rewind.
Rock. Yeah, exactly. So it was a really great
If that's what
station.
You like, you'll
Plus,
love that
it was great
station.
hearing all of the community bulletins and some of the local information. It was really great listening to a local radio station.
In case you didn't know, the Glenn Miller Orchestra is playing at the Calumet Theater later this month. We heard that commercial about 50 times.
The Calumet Theater is one of the historical sites to visit.
All right, price for value. We gave it a 5.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong for under $50 for a night for a week with full hookups in this environment, the beautiful trees and being near the lake and everything. I think, it was definitely worth it. We'll post the prices on the when we post the video.
We'll post a link to the
so
resort.
You
can take a look
but
at
it was
that.
definitely under $50 a night, and there is a discount when you stay for a full week.
And then the final one is overall experience. Overall experience is going to, along with the campground, it's going to include everything in the area. And for overall experience, we scored that a 4.5.
Yeah, one of the things about this area is since it is more remote, you really have to make an effort to come up here. It's not like Door County where, everybody from Illinois goes to Door County, or Southwest Michigan where everybody goes. Things are a lot more few and far between, a lot more kind of homegrown and organic. So do your research. I highly recommend doing visit Keweenaw.com, following their Facebook page. They have really great videos of things to do. Their travel guide, I think, was fantastic. Once you get up here, there's all kinds of brochures about different things to do, waterfalls. So definitely do your research and decide what you want to do when you come up here. A lot of the places, like, we didn't know about the cash. Had we known a little bit more that, because we usually pay with our debit card, so it's like cash, but had we known that we would have needed cash versus a debit card, that would have been good to know. But do your research, try and find stuff on their Facebook pages. That's probably where you can get the most current, because a lot of places don't have websites. But yeah, do your research, plan what you want to do, I don't think we had any problems making reservations or getting into any of the tours. You were able to walk right up. We did make a reservation for Quincy Mine ahead of time just in case, but everything seemed like it was pretty accessible to everybody, so that was great.
And just as a note, while the campground looked empty today, over the 4th of July, it was full. There were a lot more people around in town, but it wasn't a place like, say, Mackinac City or Door County, where it was wall-to-wall cars or anything like that. It was very easy to get around.
Yeah, there were some streets blocked up with local parades. Not every town had a local parade or festival, but that was going on. But again, it was small in comparison to a lot of the other big places where people from Illinois go.
Thanks for watching the video. This is going to be the longest video we've ever done. It's also the most in-depth video we've ever done. So thanks for sticking it out. In the description, I've put links for some of the places that we visited if you'd like to check it out yourself. I got a link for the Wilderness Resort as well. And I also put a link down there for our Instagram page, The Browns Big Adventure. We post a lot of pictures on there of things that we've done that did not make it to this video. Like the lighthouse in Eagle Harbor or the U.S. Coast Guard life-saving station that we visited. So take a look at that. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do down below. If you didn't enjoy the video, please hit the thumbs down button twice to really show your displeasure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next big adventure. Cheers.
Cheers.